Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. Today, we are covering Sistas. This is episode 7. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Now, let's get into this week's episode. All right, y'all. So, we start off the episode. Miss Cheyenne. She is at Andy and Fatima's workplace. She is looking for her, and of course the secretary is holding it down. They're out doing something else. Somehow, Cheyenne got to go to the back office to see what was going on, and now she knows how Andy is actually living as far as having a job, as far as the office, and just thinks that it's so fancy. The secretary said, well, no, that's not really what's up. Or did she go back there? Did she sneak back there? I forgot what it was. But anyways, she ends up running into Hayden. Hayden's ready to run game, and she shoots him down. Zach is also there. He's wanting to speak with Fatima. Fatima and Andy are not in their offices, so he's waiting around for a little bit, and Cheyenne approaches him. It's the complete opposite of when she was talking with Hayden. Now, Cheyenne is the aggressor and is coming on strong to Zach, but Zach knows not to do anything crazy, and he's shooting her down, all that, not giving her any play. She then tries to touch all over and how do you know that you don't want me, all that stuff. It was so crazy. And then Andy and Fatima walk up. Cheyenne is still being a little disrespectful, acting like nobody gonna hurt her or whatnot, and Fatima's going to reach for her gun, but Andy, or at least in her purse, thinking she's going to reach for a gun. And Andy was trying to stop her and all that stuff. Fatima didn't know that this was Cheyenne, but then, of course, Andy did let her know who this was. Basically, Fatima let her go. However, Cheyenne, slow your roll. Slow your roll. Andy and Cheyenne, they go off and do their thing or whatnot. Andy is displeased as to how she's looking as far as her dress attire. You don't wear this at the office. In that moment, Andy, no. Now, because Cheyenne said that she was job hunting, no, she shouldn't be wearing those clothes. She was like, well, I don't have the same type of clothes that you got, da-da-da-da-da. But it just coming to your office, I don't think that you should try to tell someone how they should dress. She isn't dressed too bad. Anyways, it's just a little bit, it's a little bit flamboyant, but not like bad. Nobody's going to just sit up here and, oh my God, this is hideous. No. Zach and Fatima, they talk, and Fatima asked, how did the bidding go? And he said he didn't get it. Fatima encourages him and saying that, she first apologizes and then says that you're going to get the next one, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Zach gets freaky and suggests that they go have sex. Fatima's like, are you crazy? And then she finally gives in. She goes to someone's office, which I think is Hayden's, because later on, Hayden came in there. However, they got their freak on, and then something ended up falling loose, and they had to put it back together. And I don't even think that they put it back together, or they just kind of left. But anyways, Hayden comes back to the office, to his office. We're going to go across town, and we're going to travel down to Danny and Tony. They're talking for a little bit. Tony's trying to get who this guy was. Danny is being, I don't know what the right word is, because she's like playing off of, oh yeah, you think that I really had some guy that I had come up in here, and then I told him no, and then he just did what he did, da-da-da-da-da. And Tony's like, no, that's not what I'm asking. That's not what he's really trying to get some answers out of you, and you won't talk. That's the bottom line, Danny. Tony, I'm grateful he did this, because I had been rooting for Tony, and then I was like, no. He's starting to realize his mistakes. He feels like he's responsible, because if things hadn't gone down the way that it did, Tony should have been here to protect. And Danny's like, that's no reason for me to cheat. He talks about the whole money situation, we get all that. Da, 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 da. Danny said, you know, even if you asked, I wasn't going to give it to you. However, he realized that he crossed some boundaries, a lot of them. I'm glad he did that. And now he's asking, you know, what about us? Danny's at a place of, let me please think and let me process this. We can't go that far. However, it looks like we're making some type of progress, and maybe they're going to get back together or not. I don't know. But now, Maurice. Of course, Maurice is at the bank, and I think her name is Miss Iris or India. Starts with an I. She's the one that's replaced Sabrina. She wants to have a talk with Maurice. Maurice was late from his lunch. Paige covered and said that he had a headache, and he just needed to take a break. He had to take a longer lunch break or whatever. Anyways, Miss Iris or India called him into the office, and they talk. They talk about Sabrina, and then also how Maurice was handled under Sabrina's watch. And basically, things got to change with him as far as all these long breaks and flippant behavior. And he's repeating everything that he's saying, like flippant behavior. I don't know anything about that. Da, 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 da. Anyway, she said things got to change, and I want you to sign this written warning. She talks about Sabrina in such a way that was very insensitive. Like, you know that Sabrina's gone, and she's probably never going to come back, if ever. I'm like, why would you do that? Maurice goes down memory lane, and he's just remembering all the stuff that just happened in these last few days, as far as now Sabrina being in this accident and in this coma and all that. Well, I thought this and didn't know that it was going to happen. I said, you know, Maurice is going to quit pretty soon. I didn't know it was going to be that day. So Miss Iris or India, whatever her name is, she brings the written warning that she has for him and wants him to sign it. He signs it. He gives it to her and he says, make sure you read it well, my signature. And the signature says, I quit. And he goes off on her and basically says, there's a special place in hell for you. You bitch, I quit, da 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 da. He had called Dylan to let him know, like, remember I told you what we were going to do, what I was going to do? Well, today's the day. And he said, okay, call me when it's done. And he did what he was going to do, quit and walk out. So Miss Pamela, not Pamela, what's her name? It's not Penelope. Dylan's sister. She's yelling at the top of her lungs, Maurice, don't leave me here at the bank. I mean, you're going to have to do something else if you want to, I don't know. But you wanted this position. It looks like a position. Now I'm going to see what the writers are going to do. I got to watch you as to see how you're going to act, because you wanted the position that Maurice, that's Sabrina. Never mind. You were supposed to get Sabrina's position, or you wanted Sabrina's position. But anyways, I don't know if you're going to still be a part of anything. I don't know, but we shall see. Maurice goes down to the salon and is talking with Pam. Like, I'm going to be here now full time. I can dedicate everything, da 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 da. And he's noticing that the salon is empty and what's going on. Well, she said, well, you know, I've stepped down from being a stylist to kind of be a part of the regular stuff that we got going on. They got the blueprints, and now that they can really figure out where they're going to put the nail spot and the massage, he actually knows this massage is going to be happy endings. And she said that's depending upon the gratuity that the owners are going to get. I said, Lord. Back at Andy's office, Dr. Reginald comes in with a bouquet of purple flowers. He gives what that is called, but he said that he liked it for the color. However, he wanted to seem romantic or whatever to Andy. He says, I know that you are taking your time right now, and I respect that. When can I see you? When can we go on a date? You know, sometime. He didn't try to get her into anything, but I think that Reginald is handling it great. Check the temperature, not push. Of course, Andy's just struggling on if she wants to do what, blah, blah, blah. But basically, she gives in and is ready to go on a date. And I think we see in the previews that's what's going to happen. So since Zach has now not had anything good has turned her down, Cheyenne has called Hayden, and she wants to go out to dinner. And now that's about to be a mess up in. Oh, here we go. Madison and Rich. Madison is already at the his drink place. He congratulates her on the bid that she's won, and she said, "How did you know about this?" He said, "Well, one of my friends was one of the bidders, and he lost out on you." Small world. They sit down, talk, have a good little time, and he goes get her drink. I think that was it for that. So nothing else happened. So it was a better episode. Danny did call someone, which we know in the next episode that she's calling her therapist. I'm glad for that. Thank God for that. So that was it for this episode. Y'all give me a grade of what you thought of this episode, how it performed. It was a lot more comedic and it wasn't so drama filled. We still got Maurice in his zone and how he feels about his friend. Of course, Danny. But we're starting to see a smidge of breakthrough, at least between Danny and Tony. Tony was able to kiss her on the forehead and she didn't flinch. I said, thank God for that, because it could have been different. So, but yeah, I do appreciate everyone for stopping by. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, leave your comments, and until the next one, peace.